welcome back to the Dr. George Show. We have with us as our guest Professor Charles McWilliams. You probably remember seeing him on another video when he was talking about the jade system that he's invented. Today we brought him back as his title of Grand Master of the Medical Order of Knights Hospitallers, sometimes called the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem. This is a charity organization that began many years ago and is probably the oldest charity in the world. And we'd just like to spend a few minutes with Professor McWilliams discussing what are the Knights Hospitallers, or specifically the medical order of the Knights Hospitallers?
Well, our ancient history is, of course, was a hospital that was established in 1050 AD, some 50 years before the First Crusade. The hospital was formed by Brother Gerard. It was a Christian mission that was open to people of all races, creeds, and colors for medical care, which, of course, was in those times of the medieval days was very lacking. Mm-hmm. And the order has persisted through many sagas, through many wars over the years because of the unfortunate situation of the Crusades, having moved to this lovely island of Cyprus in 1291, mm-hmm. And then further into Rhodes and also into Malta, ultimately, where they built a 6,000-bed hospital. Right. And that was the great days, as we say, of our order, until Napoleon made them surrender and took the island in 1797.
Mm-hmm. So were these actual monks that were running these hospitals?
Yes, they were monk physicians, very dedicated to the cause. Due to the unfortunate circumstances of the Crusades, a branch of the order developed a military part of it in order to guard their castles and fortresses. So they're often confused, with other orders like the Templars, for example, being the fact that they were primarily a military order. Yes, we did have a military division, but we were primarily and always a medical order.
So there seems to be some confusion in people's minds between the Templars and the Knights Hospitallers and the Freemasons. Would you like to just clarify that for people watching today?
Well, I'd be happy to. Because both were ordained by the Pope, both orders were, sanctioned by the Roman Catholic Church of the times. They fought together in some battles. They actually fought against each other in some battles. Mm-hmm. So there was a very contorted history between the Hospitallers and the Templars. And of course, when the Pope decreed the banishment and the folding of the Templar order in the 14th century, the possessions of the Templars were given to the Hospitallers, which created even more confusion to kind of brand us as being Templars, when in fact we didn't really have a lot to do with their history or their functioning of their order, mm-hmm. at all. In fact, their constitution was actually copied from our constitution, mm-hmm. Since we predated them by about 70 to 80 years. So that's the difference between the Hospitallers and Templars. But the Hospitallers have persisted through time, mainly as a medical charity. We have the St. John Ambulance Corps of England, which of course is a remnant or vestige of the Order of St. John. We have some hospitals in Europe. We have the Eye Hospital of St. John, Jerusalem, which I've been to, in Israel. So we have always maintained and persisted to be a medical order.
Mm-hmm. It is important not to confuse the Knights Templar with the Knights Hospitallers or the Knights of Malta. They were often combating each other due to their differences. The Knights Hospitallers, also known as the Knights of St. John, were monks that took care of the sick and the poor and were performing other good deeds in Jerusalem where they first began. This group of monks, often called the Knights Hospitallers of St. John of Jerusalem, still exists today as a Christian charity group. There is also a medical order of Knights Hospitallers that help the sick and needy. The Knights Templars, on the other hand, were founded in 1118 by 9 knights. Hughes de Payens was the first Grand Master of the order. They gained huge wealth and were richer than most kings who they often loaned money to. This wealth brought with it great power and influence. This wealth threatened Pope Clement V, so that in 1312 in France, the order of the Knights Templars were declared illegal and Templars were captured and punished. A significant number of Templars found refuge in Scotland, in England, the only monarchy in the 14th century Europe that didn't recognize the authority of the Catholic Church. Reorganizing under the protection of King Robert the Bruce, they soon found the perfect camouflage to hide their existence in the British Isles. This was the beginning of Freemasonry and the Freemasons' lodges as we know them today. So, what about Freemasonry? I mean, where did that derive from?
Well, that's a good question. That's often argued by, Templar historians as to the origin of the Masonic Lodge, and most seem to agree that there were some Templars that escaped during the infamous day of Friday the 13th, if people know a little bit about that history, and escaped to Scotland under the dominion of Bruce, and there started the Scottish Rites of the Freemasonry Lodge there. And that's where we suppose the Templars. Some argue that it's even more ancient than that, but the Masonic Lodge is a totally different branch, has nothing to do with us. It's just a confusion in history and all of the movies and the extravaganza that's placed around these types of ancient orders, but it has nothing to do with us whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's good to clarify that, because I've had conversations with many people and there is a confusion that basically the medical order of the Knights Hospitallers, or the Knights of St. John as they're called, is a Christian order, and it's a charity.
Yes.
And you're doing a lot of good work in the world, because from your presentation yesterday, you discussed and showed us some slides of some of the hospitals that you're building.
Yes.
Would you like to just mention very briefly, where these hospitals are being built? And of course, these are all running on charity lines, yes?
Yes, they're completely charitable hospitals. We have first started our establishment in Ecuador. Ecuador has a history of the Hospitallers. There was a hospital built in Quito and also in Guayaquil. So we petitioned Congress to establish a nonprofit charitable organization there, which was approved within 6 months. And we've now obtained grounds there. We have developed affiliation agreements with the largest school in Ecuador at Riobamba. And we're in the process now of building a small outpatient clinical care and hospital combined in the area of Santo Domingo, Ecuador.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one place that we're in active work. We also have been in contact with the President of the Dominican Republic and the First Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Lands have been offered to us, so we are now in negotiations with the Dominican Republic government of doing some work there. We also have been working with the President of Ghana for establishing a hospital near the Ivory Coast for a rather poor region of that country, and one of the brothers of our order is actively engaged with that. We're very close to consummation of that process.
Well, I'm pleased to say and honoured to be now an official member of the Knights
We look
Hospitallers.
very forward to your membership.
And I am looking forward to doing some good work here in Cyprus and also helping the order to develop further in their goals.
Well, I can assure you you'll have the full support of our order as well as our Sovereign Council, and we will be here at your side and at your need.
Thank you very much for joining us again, and hopefully we'll have you again for another interesting subject. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.